Alright, welcome back everybody. We're here for Install Racing IMSA Series Season 7 Round 5 at the Hockenheim ring in Germany. We've got returning Matthias Weiten in the GTP category, but right now focus is on the GT3 field as they head out for qualifying. Saying that, we're focused on a GTP for some reason, so our standings should correct themselves. There we go. So it looks like Ted-Jan Bloemen has perhaps been first out of the pit lane. That is the case. So he's going to be the first driver to get a go at a lap here around the Hockenheim ring in the DLR Porsche. Closely followed by Adam Jarvis behind. Got some really close battles in this field as it stands. So we'll be looking to try and make that battle continue throughout the season. We're getting towards the end of a lap here. This is a hairpin towards the end of a lap that he's going through now, and the prep lap is almost over. Really important in these cars to get that prep lap in. So here he is starting a lap through turn 1. Well, it'll be through turn 1 just now. This kind of kinky corner that we have here, you've got to follow it through as well as you can. Use all of the curb as the car coming out of the pit lane is going to have to avoid, but that should be fairly easy to do. Then into turn 2, really heavy braking zone. It's a lot tighter than it looks. Got to really rotate the car and bring it back to the right of the road with the left hander. He doesn't do that too much, but he's able to keep his foot in, and crucially Adam Jarvis has actually gone quicker in that first sector, but there's only 3 cars who have gone through it right now, so we won't read into that too much. Into the second half of the lap, then this really heavy braking zone here into the left hander. This is going to be a great overtaking opportunity in the race, especially with the multi-class action. This is where you're going to be at risk of track limits though as well, and we have had issues around here in the past. And then use all the curb again here now into that hairpin section, famous hairpin section. What happened at the Grand Prix 2017, and he gets all loose, Ted-Jan Bloemen, as he goes through the hairpin and has to bail out of the lap. I think that means that Adam Jarvis, if we can find his camera, will be the next car to go across the line. Well, the first car to go across the line. And Gerards was quicker than him in the middle sector though, and Rens Verkerk has gone quickest in the first sector further down the order, so that's the lap time for them all to beat at 1:39.2, and then that's beaten by Yannick Gerard straight away at 1:38.6, so it's 6 tenths out of Adam Jarvis's provisional time, which is a big gap there. Porsche is doing well as Sven Elmer slots into P2, now P3, as Rens Verkerk goes quickest in the McLaren in only his second race in the Install Racing IMSA Series. So Adam Jarvis tumbling down the order as it happens right now. Dave Van Veen goes P9 as he makes his way back through turn 1. Now everyone would expect some sort of improvement on that second lap because the tyres are perhaps a bit more up to temperature. There was a risk of rain for today's race, but I believe that risk has now gone away. Coming through here then into the hairpin. We're following Dave Van Veen on his second lap. He's a little bit off the pace on that first lap. He will be hoping that he's found a bit of tyre temperature on this second lap, and he has, but he's still 3 tenths off, 4 tenths off, 5 tenths off the quickest time through sector 1 of Oriel Falk, who we're going to follow along now. He's getting a nice little slipstream, actually. Might not be helping him through this section, but it would have really helped him on the previous 2 straights to be behind the car in front of him. Not quite sure who that is. It might be Yannick Gerard's. In fact, no, I believe that's Mark Lopez in the Pro class. But Oriel Falk will be loving this. Yannick Gerard's goes purple in sector 3 and slots up to P1 with a big improvement. Porsche back to the top. Got a couple more people sliding up. Chedron Bloman, P6. Jose Carlos Villarejo up to P10. What can Oriel Falk do through the final sector? And it's a purple lap time, so that's going to send him to the top of the timing board by just over 400ths of a second. He'll be happy with that. Michael Klenberger looking to improve again at his home race on the back stretch. And he does improve, only up to P12. We'll be hoping for a little bit more than that. We've got some AM drivers really mixing it up at the moment. Rens Verkerk, Sven Elmers, Dave Van Eck, all AM drivers sitting 3rd, 4th and 5th overall. So it could be in for a really interesting race today with potentials for AMs to get podiums. I think it's all going to be about who has the toe at the best time of qualifying here. And you can see everyone's looking for it. Normally we see the field a little bit more spaced out than this. If we put that track map up for you, everyone's sort of bunched together, and that's it for Michael Klenberger on this run. A lot of people now just on reconnaissance laps. Rens Verkerk still going in that McLaren, still pushing, but no improvements from anyone at the moment. It looks like the best of this tyre is now being used. Yeah, no improvements on the timing board at the moment. It's all yellows in every sector. Maybe drivers taking a little bit of a cool down lap because they are going to try and go again. And that's Matteo Lemery in front of Rens Verkerk. Matteo does set a new personal best lap time, but he doesn't move up the order, stays P14, and that's really far off for Rens Verkerk there. That's going to be lap over for him. Everybody else looks to be on out laps at the moment. Oriel Falk is on a push lap, but it's yellow, yellow, yellow. Adam Jarvis then purple in sector 1, the first of the drivers to attempt that second run. Now this is really, really tricky braking zone that we're coming up to here. You can see how slow he's having to go to get it round there. And pick up the throttle as early as possible. Use a run-off to help with that. And through this kink, which is going to be really interesting in the race. Really difficult to go side by side through here if that's what someone is trying to do, but he gets it brought back across nicely actually for the braking zone. Use all of the curb possible. Now making his way through this section here before he goes into the final sector, split into the 3 sectors like we'd see in F1 here. Now a tricky hairpin that we saw of a mistake on the first lap from Edian Bloman, but Adam Jarvis is having none of it. Right on the limits of grip here. Through the final corner, it gets a little bit off camera on the exit, so it can quickly slip away from you. Now it's foot to the floor for that short run to the line. That's the timing line there, I believe. No, I stand corrected. The next line is the timing line. So Adam Jarvis with that purple sector 1, yellow and yellow after that, so it doesn't improve, unfortunately for him. He's going to try and improve again, but it's yellow in that first sector for him. We've got a couple more people going a little bit quicker. Jose Carlos Villarejo was purple, green in sector 1, sorry, but then followed by 2 yellows, and it's not an improvement for him. Matteo Batali's looking to improve, though. He's green and green. We've seen a lot more yellow on the board at the moment, though. And actually, there's been an incident there, it looks like, between Matteo Lemery and Paolo Antonori, so we'll take a look at that in just a second and try and work out what happened, and we'll just see where Matteo Batali is able to go on the leaderboard, and he does move up to P6. So let's take a look at what happened to Paolo Antonori. Yeah, arriving on the scene of an unfortunate spin for Matteo. Can't quite find the Matteo spin. In fact, here it is. Oh, just gets on the curb, loses it on power. And yeah, tried to get off the racing line as quickly as possible. I don't think there's much else he could have done there. We'll go back to live images. See who's improving. Tedjan Bloemen is one of them, but Matteo Batali is also improving. Let's follow Ted through this final sector. See if he can improve up the order at all. Porsche really on the limits through this high-speed section here, where he gets heavy on the brakes. This was where we saw the mistake the previous time around. And it gets loose again. That Porsche running really low on grip, and he goes wide again. So maybe we will not follow him because that was rather unfortunate. Maybe we'll leave him to run the lap on his own at the moment, because there's definitely a lot of time out there for him to get. Dave Van Veen looking to improve as well. He's got on the gravel though, and I believe that'll be an off track for Dave Van Veen. It's not, in fact, so he will be able to complete this lap to try and improve up from last place. He's yellow and green, so he'll be hoping for some improvement when he's currently sat in last place. Don't forget that just over 1 second covers the top 10 as well, and the top 8 just over half a second. So really close field up front here today. Like we said, that's a mix of AMS and pros. Dave Van Veen moves ahead of Matteo Lemeroy then to move up to 14th on the grid. Sven Elmer's looking to improve up the order from an already quite impressive 4th in the AM car. He'll be hoping to beat Rensburg Kirk, who's currently in P3 in an AM car. What can he do? Uses all of the track on the exit, and that's completely fine. Comes across the timing line now, and it's a purple final sector. You have to think that would promote up the order, but it doesn't. It just moves him safer in that 4th place. So what can the others do around him? Because Rensburg Kirk has gone green in sector 1. Got a slow moving car at the hairpin. That's a 93 on Mark Lopez. He's now pulled off the track entirely. Tedjan Bloemen, yellow in sector 1, green in sector 2, but makes it through sector 3 where we've seen him struggle. So he'll be hoping that this lap time should move him up, and it should move him up a little bit, really, unless there's been a mistake that we haven't seen. Tedjan Bloemen crosses the line. It is an improvement, only 1 place, but he'll probably take that. Yannick Gerard's the only driver out there setting a purple at this point in the session. He's in that DLR Porsche as well, so maybe struggling a little bit in the final sector. He'll be looking to go up to pole position. Teddy Batali and Dave Van Eck are both pulled off a track, so it's session over for them. Sven Elmers is yellow and green in the middle sector, so they'll be looking for an improvement as well. They're going to cross the line just before Yannick. And is Sven able to move up? No, he's not. That's unfortunate for him. Yannick Gerard, though, improves, but not enough to go to pole position. Adam Jarvis improves his lap time, but not his position as well. A couple more drivers out there. I think that'll be checkered flag in about 4 seconds' time, unless I'm mistaken. There we have it. Checkered flag for the GT3. So anybody on a lap can currently finish it, and there's not many of them. Rensburg Kirk is still going around, but yellow and yellow is going to be difficult to improve onto that front row. Going to keep his foot in now. And no, he doesn't. Actually pulls off after the exit of the final corner, knowing he wasn't going to be able to improve. Then the 23 is going to be the next car to come along. That's Paolo Antonori looking to improve from P10 on the grid. And can't do anything about it, unfortunately. Does improve the lap time, but nothing else. Matteo Lemro looking to improve on last place as it stands. There is potential to do that. 2 green sectors, and it is a personal improvement. It moves him up 3 places. He'll be happy with that to go up to P12. Big improvement there from him. And Adam Jarvis is yellow and yellow, but he's the last car still running, so we'll follow him through this final sector now. Through the hairpin. Don't think it's going to be really difficult to improve from here. The sector times aren't brilliant on this lap, but he'll be looking for as much learning as he can have in this session on these track conditions. It's not going to be an improvement when he comes across the line, unfortunately. But Adam there, about 1.2, 1.3 seconds after what he did previous time. And I tell you who that's not going to stop is our usual suspects queuing up at the front of the pit lane. See if we can get a camera angle of it here for you. There we go. I believe there's Alvaro at the front, unless I'm mistaken. And then that's one of the DLR cars, so probably Albert Preem. Matthias Viton is in the Porsche for the first time. I've only ever seen him driving the Acura in GTP here before. Alvaro gets going. That's Matthias there pulling out of his box. And that's all of our cars out on track now, and Alvaro's being given a black flag or something there on the outlap because he's had to tow back to the pit lane. So first car out on track is the 697 of Albert Preem. Then he'll be looking to continue the look he's had recently in qualifying, although the race didn't quite go his way last time after leading the majority of it. He then got caught up with some traffic with about 10 minutes to go in the race. Was able to use his fast repair as essentially what would have been part of a scheduled stop, so the damage wasn't too bad. Did get it back to the pit lane and did do the repairs, but lost out on a big chunk of points. He would have been scoring over his championship rivals. So he'll want to lay the marker down again today, and the advantage of having his teammate Matthias Viton back in the series is he may be able to help us out, help Albert Preem out a little bit in the championship battle if it comes down to it. But I know Matthias is here to win and to win only, but if they can work together to try and gap the field, they'll be very pleased with that as an outcome. We'll follow Matthias round, Albert Preem round on this lap. In fact, you know what? No, let's follow Matthias Viton around on his return to the Ansel Racing IMSA series. Go from a bit of camera angle than that, actually. Into turn 1. Nicely touching the curb, kissing the curb on the inside. Don't get on the sausage. Albert Preem sets a marker in the first set. That's an 18.6. Emre Kamal does 3 tenths off of that. What can Matisse do as he comes through onto the stretch up to the hairpin now, and he's a 10th off of what his teammate did in sector 1, but both of these guys looking pretty quick so far compared to the other cars we've got out on track now. Heavy braking zone into here. As you can see, the closing speed pretty immense. Get it rotated really nicely. It's a really slow speed corner, so the GTP not the quickest of cars through that sort of section compared to particularly the LMP2, obviously based off similar chassis, but much longer and much slower and heavier through the slow speed corners. Albert Preem's retained that purple sector 1 crucially. Juanto Avale's gone quicker than him by 6 tenths in sector 2 though. And Matthias about 3 times quicker than his teammate through sector 1, but still 3 times in fact off of what Juanto did in sector 2. So far incredibly close throughout this lap. And that is your first lap timer, 1 minute 7.665 from Albert Preem. Emre Kamal goes quicker. Albert Preem's lap was actually invalidated from an off-track, unfortunately. Juanto Avale goes quicker than his rival Emre in the Cadillac. What does the Porsche driver Matthias Viton do? P3 after his first run. He'll have been hoping for a little bit more than that, but it's a pretty solid run. Alvaro Gutierrez slots in P4, Jeffrey Ross is still to come across the line. Liam de Kock as well, he was considering not racing today. He's not feeling very well, but he's going to try and tough it out and get those crucial championship points. Obviously started off not in the GTP category, joined late, and can't really afford to miss any rounds if at all possible. Obviously, it has already used his drop round, which will be a 0-point drop round from those races where he was participating in a different class. So Emre, purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2, really looking to improve. The Cadillac looking strong here today, as it has done so many times. It's hits and uses all of the curb there, but you won't get in trouble for that at all. Jeffrey Ross didn't set a valid lap time last time round, and neither did Liam de Kock. They were both invalidated, so that's 5 drivers that didn't set valid laps on their first attempts. It is not going to bode well for the instant count in the race either. So Emre yellow in that final sector, but still sets the purple lap time by just over half a second, just under half a second. Well, Alvaro is going to be looking to displace him though there. Purple in sector 2. Eloy goes quickest by half a tenth. Congratulations, Mateus moves up to P3, and Alvaro moves up to P3 in his place. So it's all about stringing the complete lap together here today. We've seen some quick drivers in sectors that have been 2.5 tenths off the pace or more. Jeffrey Ross and Liam de Kock will be looking to get a valid lap time in, as he goes very wide there. Liam de Kock just got another off track actually, so that's lap over for him, and hits a wall as he gets too much curb through turn 1, I believe. Let's take a closer look at what happened there. So I think this is where the lap time was. Oh, jumped the sausage and then got loose, putting his foot down when he was over the curb. Very unfortunate there, but he'll get another run. Not at his best today, as he's already said. Alvaro's looking to improve though. Green in sector 1. As is Carlos Ponce behind. Purple in sector 2 though for Alvaro, and it's a very quick sector 2 compared to some of the other cars around him on track. This could definitely be a lap time that's good enough for pole if he can string the third sector together. Don't get too greedy on the throttle here, because you've got to bring it back across, and he does nicely. Going through the final section, gets all over the curb, but like we said, that's perfectly valid. And then that is a new pole position provisional time, 1:25.4. Mantua Vale moves up to P4. So what was looking like a pretty good day for Albert Preem, who's actually now not showing a lap time. Yes, that was correct actually, because he invalidated every lap he did so far. He's going again, but it's not looking good for Albert Preem. His teammate is only P5, obviously in a different car though. Just getting back into the rhythm of the ASR IMSA series qualifying format. Yellows for most people out there. Juan Torvali's got green in sector 1, but yellow for everybody else apart from Albert Preem is green in sector 1 as well. Mateus goes green in sector 2. All about stringing the full lap together. Vale green in sector 2 as well, and Preem green in sector 2 as well, who we're following along with now the championship contender. Don't believe he's had any off tracks on this lap. This will be his banker lap, and then he'll maybe get a bit more adventurous on the next lap. He really just needs to get a safe run in here. There, Mateus P4, and then quickly displaced by a Vale who also improves. Emre Kamalda has gone green, purple, sorry, in sector 1. Albert Preem does set a lap time, but it's only P6. He'll want a lot more than that. Let's follow along with Emre then, who's purple in sector 1, now coming up to the hairpin. Get on the anchors really, really deep. You can see him struggling to slow it down there a little bit, actually. Gets very, very deep. He's going to keep on going. No, he's not. That's going to be a lap over. He'll be really kicking himself for that one. Matthias then through the hairpin. Also deep. Steers out of it and gives up. Driver's really, really struggling for grip in the hairpin there. Next through that section is going to be Jeffrey Ross. Who doesn't go deep, gets it hooked up nicely. The car in front, I'm not sure who that is, it might be Alvaro, dives out of the way nicely. Jeffrey then into the difficult left-hander. You want to carry as much speed as possible, open it up to get then back across. It'll be all over the curbs if you want to maximise that section. Through the hairpin there. Kisses the apex nicely, uses all of the exit curb. Then you got to been a little bit more greedy on the curb there on the inside, but wanted to bring it across for this final section. And it's just foot flat now to the line. Make sure you get back on track before the curb ends, otherwise you'll pick up an off track. Jeffrey Ross then sets a lap time that is not going to count because of an off track. So he's going to have to try and go again. Alvaro purple in sector 1. Jeffrey Ross and Liam de Kock really, really struggling here to get these valid laps in, because I don't think that's a valid lap time either for Liam de Kock, and it's not, and people are going to be really struggling in the race if they can't set a valid lap time in qualifying. That's 10 instant points so far this session for Liam de Kock. Matteo Lemroy also picked up 10 in the GT3 session. Into the hairpin now for Liam de Kock. I'm punching it down the straight. We're not going to follow Alvaro because he's gone yellow in sector 2. And I think the more critical thing now is, can these guys even set lap times? It's yellow and yellow for Jeffrey Ross and Liam de Kock so far this lap. Eloy's gone green in sector 2, but it only matches the sector 2 that Alvaro did this lap, and Alvaro was 4 times quicker than him in sector 1 with that purple lap time, and I believe that is an improvement from Alvaro. Yes, it is. Not much, but puts another couple of thousands between him and his teammate behind. So if his teammate can string together a pretty impressive final sector, he might have a chance of Arley dropping a yellow flag there. Jeffrey Ross finally gets a lap time in. Only P7, but it's 4 tenths off a pole. It's not bad at all. Really, really close field here today. What can Liam de Kock do? He's not on an off track this lap. He gets it across the line nicely, I believe, and he sets a personal best lap time. It's only P9, but it is a good starting point. He's got time to reset and go one more time if he's quick enough, and that is what he's going to try and do. Matthias Viton just picks up an off track as we followed him there, actually. So that lap time will be invalidated. He's looking now for the toe for this lap to improve up the order if he can, because that previous lap time was a 25.535, so that would have actually moved him up 1, maybe 2 places. And it's bailing out for him, actually, so he needs to get a quick valid lap in if he wants to fight for the win in this race. A 2-minute warning there from race control, but we can see that on the clock. Down on the outlap, this is Jeffrey Ross, P7. That's a lap time improvement, but not position improvement. I believe that'll be session over for him. I struggle to make it to a line from there. Albert Preem with the purple lap time goes to pole position. We missed that. There wasn't anything super mega on those sectors. He just strung 3 greens together, and that's moved him up to pole position. That's really, really, really impressive towards the end of this session. That'll take in a lot of drivers by surprise there as well. And Alvaro is going to have another go, but he's yellow in sector 1, and that's not going to be good enough, really. Carry some nice speed through the hairpin. Down through the kink now. And if it's nothing special in this sector, it's not going to be good enough to beat Albert. I don't think on this lap. He might just make it to the line in time. It's going to be incredibly tight, actually. I'm not sure if he will. He's going to have to really push. He can't back off if he does want to make it. Yellows from everybody else, as you can see on screen, who's out there setting lap times. He's got about 10 seconds to get to the line. It's going to be incredibly tight, I can tell you right now, considering they're doing about 125 on a flyer. And I think he might just make it here. Yes, he does, with a second to spare. Doesn't take the checkered flag, so he is going to get to go again. It's going to be full push on this lap then. Matisse can't improve in sector 1. Neither can Elo Cabinero, but that last lap from Matisse that we saw was his fastest sector 1, and that was a pretty quick lap before it was invalidated, so he's going to definitely keep on going. It's a pretty good sector 1 time, even if it's not a green one. Eloy's yellow and yellow in currently P3. Matisse has just picked up an off track, so it'll be lap over for him. Alvaro yellow in sector 1 and really doesn't look like he's going to be improving. So I think Albert Preem will be your pole sitter as he sits in the pit lane there. I think there's actually been a crash for Matisse. But, we'll just watch what happened here quickly, and there's nothing for us to see. Oh, there we go. Lost it on the curb, potentially. Let's have a check nicely. Tell you what, though, Alvaro's gone purple in sector 2. He was a 10th slower than Albert Preem in sector 1, and then he was 2 tenths quicker in sector 2, so it's all going to be down to this final sector, and can he string it together? Sector 2 has got a lot of big, long straights. He gets a little bit loose through the penultimate corner, now through the final corner, using all of the track that he can, and is it going to be good enough for pole? No, it's not. He doesn't improve on his previous lap time. He lost another 10th in sector 3, unfortunately. So top 8, all within 8 tenths of another, but crucially top 7 within 3 tenths, and top 6 all within 2 tenths. So really, really close field there today. We're going to get some mega racing when we go green. Just waiting for the session to finish so we can look at the official results and what will form the grid for the race. So let's run you through the qualifying results in GT. We've just seen that session, but Albert Preem goes on pole with that late lap towards the end of the session. It's Alvaro and Eloy behind in the Iridium Motorsports cars. Emre Kamaldine P4, Juanto Avale P5, Mateus Viton on his return to the series only manages 6th, Jeffrey Ross P7, Carlos Ponce P8, and Liam de Kock in P9. Let's take a look at the GT3 qualifying results. Just remember that these points aren't scored like this. GT3 Pro and GT3 Am points are scored separately in qualifying. This will be the order for the grid. If you want to see the full point standings, you can catch them at the link in the description to our website. Oriol Falk did qualify on pole though. Yannick Gerard's in P2. Renzo Kirk P3, Sven Elmers P4, Mateo Ubertali for Absolute Motorsport, Aslif in P5, Dave Van Eck for Era Next Gen Racing in P6, Tejan Bloman for DLR in P7, Mark Lopez in P8, Adam Jarvis P9, Paolo Antonori in P10. And we've got more, don't worry. P11, Senna Bockhoven P12, Matteo Lemery jumped up 3 positions when he was the last car to cross the line. Michael Helmberger qualifies P13, Jose Carlos Villarejo in P14, and Dave Van Veen P15.
And now your weekly reminder from race control, as we ask each 3 pole sitters to leave the gap somewhere between 10 and 20 seconds. So that will be, in this case, we ask Oriel Fog to leave somewhere between 10 and 20 seconds between yourself and the back of the hypercar field before the start. And finally, as your second weekly reminder, your race will start when your class leader goes in the start zone. Your race does not start under the green flag. Thank you.
That's our weekly message from our race director there. Nobody set a lap time yet, which is why we're not seeing anything on the leaderboard, but we're just getting to watch some of this quite close. This is the most, this is, I'd say, the most practice that some of these guys get in the extreme traffic that we're going to get in the race. People tend to take it quite chill in practice, and you don't get everybody out on track all at once, and some people are out practicing in private lobbies to get a bit more track space to themselves. So we're getting to see some of the drivers experience that really, really big pack running for the first time. And a lot of drivers practicing their pit in as well on full pace. I'm getting a nice little battle here between the two teammates, in fact, going down. Oh, and then just cut away from it, unfortunately. And now Paolo Antonori looking for a way past. I think that's Ted-Jan Bloemen. Just ahead of him, here we are, back with the teammates. This is Oriel Falk. And I believe Adam Jarvis tucked up behind. Yes, it is. Just trying to get a bit of pack racing practice before we go green in the session. Checkered flag then in warm-up. We're getting ready to go green here for Season 7, Round 5 of the Anti-Stall Racing IMSA Series at Hockenheim. Gridding up, we'll have Albert Preem leading the field to green in GTP, and then Oriel Falk leading the field to green in GT3. And what we're going to do, we're going to show you the grouped standings for Class Set 2, which means you're going to see the standings for GT3 all at once, and that's because we've got so many AMs mixed up with the pros for the start of the race. It's best that we see everybody all at once. It will help us to kind of work out what's going on, because we'll see some big gaps forming around the field if we only look at the pro and AM cars separately. Albert Preem yet to grid up. The memorial to Jim Clark is shown on camera. Albert Preem getting ready to go then. Yeah. I think we now have all cars on the grid, unless I'm mistaken. We do. The safety car is rolling away. Remember, the GT3s will pause for a little bit to go green because they've got to wait for the leaders to get around 20 seconds. The leaders being the GTP cars get around 20, or between 5 and 20 seconds away. And then the driver needs to make sure they can maintain a constant speed. So we normally see them set off about 10 seconds later, which they have now done. short formation lap here as well today. It's not the full lap. It's still pretty long. They start just after the hairpin. We're coming through that final sector now. I think we've escaped the rain that was potentially on the way. It was meant to come in practice. It looks like it never came. So if it didn't come in practice, we're definitely not going to get any in the race. And the clouds in the sky would suggest we're in for a dry one today. So as I'm sure anybody that's joined us previously, and any of the drivers that are watching this on replay, will be well aware that Albert Preem will control the field. He'll have to go in the start zone, which has been made clear to the drivers in the driver briefing. So he has full control of the pack now. He can go any point during that start zone, but he has to go before the end of it, which I believe will be the start-finish line. So he gets to judge that as well as he can. I'm surprised he didn't go on the exit at the corner there. What's he going to do? We don't go on the green. You just heard that from iRacing, but that's not when we go. And he goes right at the end of the start zone to avoid giving too much of a slipstream down his start-finish straight. And he gets away nicely. We're side-by-side behind with Emre Camaldor and Eloy Caballero. We get through nicely. Everybody making their way through fairly safely. Let's go to the leaders of GT3. These guys packing up nicely into turn 1. We go side by side, a lot behind. I think we're going to get some good racing through the hairpin. And Paolo Antonori is off at the back, I believe. Couple more into the wall for Paolo Antonori. A very poor start and then double hit on the wall. Really unfortunate. Liam de Kock also off at the hairpin in the GTP field. He's going to carry on. We'll watch what happened in the GT3. Eloy's not happy with Emre from the start, I believe. Matthias Viton has just made a double overtake into the hairpin, but there's big contact. And that's what I believe Jeffrey Ross has to make avoiding action behind and then ducks back in on the inside. That incident is already under investigation from race control. Matteo Lemroy also off in the hairpin section, so there's been contact there. With 3 wide in the GT3 field going into the kink. This is not going to end well if they try and stick it out. And they are going to try and stick it out. No, the BMW on the outside backs off 2 wide through there. Under investigation is that incident between Lemroy, Bockhoven, Bloman and Jarvis. 4 wide again. 2 wide into the second bit of the fast chicane. It all settles out a little bit though from there on. We're nice and close up front in the GT3 field. Oriel Fox stretched away a little bit, but everybody else is still within that crucial second for that big toe that they're going to get down the back stretch into the hairpin. We're going to review some of what happened on the start once this settles down a little bit. Into the hairpin for the GTP cars. They're spread out a little bit as we would expect. Carlos Ponce nearly runs into the back of his teammate though. Not going his way at all. Michael Klember looking close to overtake, so is Sven Elmers. He's lost a position to Dave Van Eck, I believe, on the start. Be looking to try and make that back up. Currently running P3 in AM. Alright, let's take a look at some of what happened on lap 1 if we can. Was the green flag. So this is what happened to Paolo Antonori. He's already loose there actually. Just gonna see if we can get... There we go, let's see if we can get a replay of the whole start from Paolo Antonori's car. It's another incident for lap 1 that's being investigated. Okay, so Antonori's on the inside going into the kink. Just gets loose all on his own now actually and lifts off to try and control the car. Then what's going to go wrong here? Oh, and then they're 3 wide and he gets tagged into the wall. That'll be under investigation with race control for sure. Then what happened to Liam de Kock? This was down on the run into the hairpin, I think. Not sure if he had to take avoiding action because he went really deep. It's going to get a mega tow here, it looks like. Oh, super deep on the brakes as they all pack up ahead. Manages to avoid everyone, very fortunately. What happened to Avale and Emre then? Oh, this is going to be the incident that is under investigation with race control, I believe. There's... Oh, I tell you what, Mateus didn't really send it in. It looked like he did from the camera angle, so it looks like Emre didn't really see what was going on. Then Jeffrey Ross went off track. I believe this was in avoidance of what happened. Yes, it was, and he's very, very lucky to have avoided that. I'll tell you what, we're going to look at that one again from the onboard. So I think this is going to be incredibly tight. You can see something going on in front of him. Doesn't know which way to go. Goes outside, then finds Emre's car in his way. Gets away with it fairly well. Let's take a look at what happened to Matteo Lemre on lap 1. We saw him really deep in the runoff here. Finds a little gap down the inside, and I think he's just going to go deep. Yes, he does, and finds his way through the field. Matteo Lemroy, congratulations. That was pretty incredible to avoid that. Then something's happened with Senna Bokhoven and Dave Van Veek on lap 2. Apologies, we missed this one. Oh, finds his teammate pointing the wrong way. We find what happened to Dave just in front of him, then that might be a little bit more helpful to us. We found him in the final corner, I believe. Gonna wave rotate on the entry. Yes, he is. Oh, and that was so unfortunate between the two teammates. Been another instant for Matteo here. I believe this is in the final set. Oh, yeah, just goes off track to avoid the two cars in front of him. I believe we're all caught up now on what happened. There might have been a little bit more overtaking, but it's kind of hard to pick out the overtakes on lap 1 and lap 2. We're going to focus on what happens from here on in. Eloy is nice and close to P2 in the GTP field. This is Adam Jarvis on Matteo Vitali just now into the hairpin. Oh, and he finds a gap as Adam Jarvis has to take, as Matteo Vitali, sorry, in front of him has to take avoiding action. They're too wide behind. That's Adam Jarvis trying to get past Matteo Vitali. We just saw the beginning of this on replay. That's a 5-second time penalty for the lap 1 instant for Matteo Vitali. That was no, Matteo Lemroy, sorry, that'll be in the hairpin. Not surprised to see that penalty go his way, but we could have been a lot worse, as I'm sure he is well aware. Adam Jarvis still looking for a way past, but he can't quite find it as it stands right now. Eloy's looking to get past his teammate Alvaro so he can chase after Albert Bream, who's continuing to pull away at the front, just like Oriol Folk is in the GC3 category. I'm going to go and show you GC3 Am and GC3 Pro. Just bear in mind that some of these guys are a little bit more packed up than this as it stands, just due to the way they are. Sven Elmers and Dave Van Eck fighting into the hairpin. Sven goes deep. So it's not the hairpin, that's turn 2. Surprised to see him overtaking there, because that means that Sven's going to get a good run now. So that means that Dave is going to get a good run into the hairpin and have the inside line. What's Sven going to do to try and combat that? And they've got a car cruising up behind them very quickly. That's Teddy-Jan Bloman, also in the AM class. So these guys fighting it out for AM positions. And really close racing there through the hairpin. We're going to see that continue as the lap goes on. It looks like Sven's not giving up on this one. They're losing time to Rens Verkerk ahead, who is the next car on the road as well. So he'll be wanting to get past and carry on this fight, because right now this is not helping Sven. He's practically pushing Dave Van Eck through some of these corners. That's lap 5 instant with Mark Lopez is under investigation, and they nearly make contact going into the final section. It's all over the gravel for Dave Van Eck. Ben Elmers is going to try and go down the inside at the hairpin, but it's not going to work. Unsure what that investigation is for Mark Lopez. We'll see if we can get some communication from race control regarding the incident. But nothing coming through just yet. Tace Viton and Eloy Caballero fighting up front as they make their way through the traffic. Avale's off in the traffic as well. Alvarez made up some good time on his rival in the traffic as we lose all cars. Apologies for this. Apologies, everybody, if you can still hear us trying to work out what's going on here. Right, everybody, if you can still hear us, just going to go to a quick break while we try and fix this issue. Apologies, everybody, if you can still hear us, still trying to fix this issue. We'll be back with you in one moment. All right, everybody, I believe we are back. Apologies for that, not quite sure what happened. Looks like we were kicked from the session for some reason. Everything else is still working, so perhaps an iRacing side issue. But we're back now, and this fight is still going on for the podium in GT3 AM. And while it's going on, other drivers like Matteo Ubertali are getting caught up in it, which is obviously not ideal for these guys. And this is a pro driver. Matteo Ubertali is now nearly 7 seconds off the back of his nearest rival, and Sven Elmers is now 4 seconds back off of the leader in GT3 AM, so he needs to really get a move on. He's got a good run here actually on Dave Van Eck ahead of him, but he's really struggling to get it close enough into the braking zone. Of McLaren looks to be carrying perhaps a skinnier rear wing to be able to keep up the straight line speed he needs to keep his rival behind. Sven Elmers then looking for a move into turn, I believe that's like turn 13 or something, but he can't make it work. Now into the hairpin. Really struggling here. He would have been wanting to have been passed a while ago, I would imagine. Getting quite frustrated, I imagine, at this point is really costing him an awful lot of time, and he's looking for opportunities everywhere possible. Elio Cabinero is trying to get back past Matthias Weizen, who has moved up to P3 whilst we were off camera, so making really good progress here. Something has happened to Emre Kamaldar, but I'm not sure what. Apologies that we missed that. So Eloy unable to get back past Matthias. Matthias will be looking to improve up the order as much as he can. So Tedjan Bloman as well has entered the pit lane. So that'll be for his first scheduled stop. Dave Van Eyck on the defensive against Sven Elmers, and there's contact at the apex. 4x for both of those drivers, and that's going to allow Matteo Batali, the pro driver, to try and sneak through. And look, Dave Van Eyck's front bumper actually coming off as he drives down the straight. And Matteo Batali now defensive, the front bumper flies off. Dave Van Eyck will be really losing front downforce here, but that's been noted. Sorry, no, that's an incident on a previous lap with Tedjan Bloman that's been noted as no further action. Racing really offline here, Dave Van Eyck, as he tries to defend against Al. I believe that's Adam Jarvis who makes his way through nicely. Mark Lopez, the next car to make his way through. We'll take a look at the replay of that if we can find it. Liam de Kock has been off track as well around this period of time. We'll just get that back up before we go and look at what happened with Sven Elmers and Dave Van Eyck, and that wasn't much of an issue for Liam de Kock. So let's take a look at what happened to Sven Elmers. Coming down now into the hairpin. Sven Elmers is on the inside, and well, Dave Van Eyck appears to just turn in. Clearly thought he was clear of his rival when he was in fact not clear. It is under investigation now by race control. Apologies. Sven Elmers and Dave Van Eyck both in the pit lane right next to each other though, and Dave Van Eyck will be looking to get back out ahead of his rival. They both use their fast repair to fix the damage that they both had. I'm not sure if they had a meatball flag. Dave Van Eyck definitely had a meatball flag. It doesn't look like Sven Elmers got one, but maybe just decided since he's in the pit window he'll come in and do the repairs now to get him out of the way. Trying to see when either of these drivers go, but they're both stationary for a very long time. Follow someone else out on track until we know that they're moving. Adam Jarvis now tucked up behind Matteo Batali as these three drivers were freed from the AM bubble that they were being captured in. There we go, Sven Elmers is now on his way out of the pit lane. He's lost an awful lot of time though. Going through turn 1, and Oriol Falk is coming through the final corner, the leader in the GT3 class overall. So interesting there that you're losing so much time in a pit stop. That really is a long time that those guys sat in the pit lane. Not quite sure if that's a full service or not, or if they were holding for some sort of other issues that they both had. Albert Preem still leads the race in GTP quite comfortably. Mark Lopez is the closest battle. We got that little GT3 battle with Adam Jarvis, Mark Lopez, and Matteo Batali in the pro class. Apologies. And Adam Jarvis still unable to find a way past though, which is what he's been looking for a while now, whilst they were sat behind that traffic, and now that they're in free air. This might be his opportunity though, because Matteo Batali will no longer be getting that tow from the AM cars in front, and he was quicker, but that's the leaders, not even that far away actually. So these guys will be on a mission. Their best, really what would be best for these guys now is to work together and try and move their way forwards. Struggling to find anywhere to attack around here. Adam Jarvis, Eloy Cabinero is still looking to get a back past Mateus, who's moved into the podium position that we saw that has happened off screen, but he's moved into that podium position. He's looking for a way to...
Sorry, Mateo.
Andre Gutierrez apologising for the way he got past Matteo Lemeroy there. As the GTP leaders make their way through the main bunch of traffic for the second time today. Alvaro ducks to the inside before the kink clears the car nicely. Albert Preem seemingly being a little bit more cautious in the traffic today, but it's not that much of a surprise. We've seen him caught out by the traffic last week, so he's just taking the more cautious approach. He knows he's got the pace to win, or at least it seems like it right now. Oh, ducks out quite late though, behind Adam Jarvis there, that was. This is Matteo Vitali. This is a GT3 battle we were following a minute ago. Cuts back across again on his racing line. Doesn't affect the GT3 too much. Oh, gets a little bit loose on the exit though, but GTP's really not that effective through some of the slow speed corners compared to the GT3s even. But he's done quite well there to clear all those cars before the twisty section, which Alvaro Gutierrez was not able to do, which means he lost about a second in those crucial few corners there. So that's giving him a bit more breathing room once again. Albert Preem through on Rens Verkerk, leader in AM. Now just for 2 pro cars to get by before he's completed his second run through of the traffic, which will be a big relief for him. Matteo Vitali pits from the GT3 Pro category. Hilo Cabinero wasn't able to find a way through in the traffic and has now dropped outside of that 1 second tow distance to the car in front. He might still be picking up a little bit of a slipstream. He might be able to get back in, especially if Mateus has problems passing this GT3, but I say what he's not going to, because he's on the blinkers, he's down the inside, choreographed it perfectly. What he was doing was clear to the GT3 very early, and that's let him get through, although the GT3 is not particularly happy about it. And Hilo Cabinero is going to follow suit, flashes and sends it down the inside of the King. I think he'll be even less happy about that, will Rens Verkerk. Ariel Falk has been off track from the lead of GT3 AM. Is that going to be... Oh my god, it's going to be contact with the GT3 leader. Well, not the leader, sorry. I think that's Alvaro Gutierrez that contact was with, if it was contact at all. But that's eaten into his lead just a little bit. Now down to just 2.5 seconds. It was just under 3.5 last time round. As Oriol Falk pits, in fact, this time round. What's going to be crucial to see is where Oriol Falk and Matteo Ubertali actually was a big one. So Dave Van Veen... Sven Elmers and Dave Van Eyck lost a peculiar amount of time in that pit stop. I'm not sure if they had to hold for some reason, because Matteo Ubertali is a long way further around the track than them, having completed the pit stop when they were running together earlier in the race. Not sure if they both sped in the pit lane or something. Haven't seen any messages come up to suggest that they did. A very long amount of time lost in the pit stops for those guys. Mark Lopez is looking to make a move on Adam Jarvis. No pit stops for either of these guys. You know how Adam likes to do it. We've seen GT3 drivers try for a one-stop around here in the past as well. And if anyone's going to do it, it would be Jarvis, you'd have to imagine, given his track record. Mateus Viton moves up due to nature of pit stops for some of the cars around him, including Albert Preem. So the leader now in the pits. We all know Mateus is one to try the one stop as well. But I think he'll struggle around here in the GTP. Instant for Carlos Ponce. Oh, just deep off the curb, it looks like there. Looks like That's all that was. Oh no, it's not. Loose on the exit of turn 2. Gets it going again. Lost a chunk of time to his rival though. Us fighting for the podium in this race will be difficult now after that incident. Actually ran into Matisse yesterday in a IndyCar at Indianapolis Motor Speedway practice session. Said he'd be back for next season. Clearly the surprise interaction made him consider a return for this season, and he has done. We're going to have 5. It's only round 5, so he's going to have 4 races of the season to try and build up some decent points and actually still score a decent result in the standings if he can, which we'll be very pleased by. I just want to let everybody know, Senna Bockhoven, who's currently sat in the pit lane, is not rejoining the race. He sent a message in a Discord to say that's race over for him. Albert Preem leads the cars that have pitted, and he's about to retake the lead on track as well. Yannick Gerard's in the pit lane from the lead of GT3 Pro as well. As is Adam Jarvis. It's a racing incident for that lap 1 incident that we saw. Unsurprisingly, it's kind of 3 into 1, doesn't work, but they all stuck with it. Incident for Matteo Lemery. It's going to be onto the gravel in the hairpin. No, it's not. Through the final corner, we saw him get loose here in qualifying. This perhaps could be this. Yes, it is. Okay, and he's going to get it spun back around nicely, I believe. Jeffrey Ross has got past Juanto Avale for P4. And that is on pit lane exit. Avale comes out ahead, but Ross has the overspeed. Tidjan Bloman has got past Matteo Lemery as well. I believe that's going to be after Matteo's recovering from the spin. Yes, it is, and he was on his way into the pit lane. Anyway, Juanto Avale has then got back past Jeffrey Ross, which we did not see on the exit. Ross chose to stay inside of Avale, which then obviously becomes outside of Avale, goes outside. And that's going to turn into position for Avale because that's going to be inside for the braking zone. Instant for Carlos Pons, who has been off track as well here in the hairpin. It looks like it's going to be. He sends it down the inside of the 67 car, Tidjan Bloman. Tidjan Bloman, who currently leads GT3 AM, and in fact appears to be leading GT3 overall, if I'm not mistaken. These pit stops are all over the place today. I'm not quite sure what's going on, to be totally honest with you all. Let's just go back and take a look at Class Set 2, which will show us, yeah, Tidjan Bloman in the lead overall somehow. GT3. Teo Batali, Renzo Kirk, Adam Jarvis, Mark Lopez and Michael Klemberger have all jumped Oriel Falk and Yannick Gerards. Not sure if there's anybody listening in the race control booth who can try and fill me in on quite how that's happened. Running on my own today, as I'm sure most of our viewers have noticed. This is Oriel Falk getting past Yannick Gerards for P15. Is this also going to be on P exit? Yes, it is. We'll go back to live images of your leader. Tell you what, battle isn't over. It's a Jeffrey Ross Juanto Avale battle, as Ross is all over the back of him but struggling to find a way through. Tidjan Bloman spent a total time of 26 seconds in the pits, and Oriel Falk spent a total time of 57 seconds in the of 1 minute 12 seconds of full pit stop time. That's pit entry to pit exit. So is that tyres for some of these guys and not tyres for some of these other guys? As Liam de Kock has found the barrier somewhere. Mateus has been off track first of all. Is that going to be when he's trying to get past the GT3s? It is, runs deep into the runoff. He comes back on in front. And Liam de Kock had been off track on his own, somewhere a little bit further up the track, it looks like. Oh, yeah, deep in there, bin. And that is a broken car if I've ever seen one. I believe he's going to tow back to the pits to get there, and then this is Matthias making his way past the stricken car. Don't need to see that full overtake at all. Liam de Kock in the pit lane, he is towing. I think that means he's going to try and take his fast repair if he can. Jeffrey Ross still looking for a way past Avale. It's not coming his way just yet. So Matisse has dropped back down the order, and I don't know if that's because he also took tyres. He was 1 minute 21 in the pits. Albert Preem only 40 seconds. Most of these guys only 40 seconds. So looks like Matisse took tyres. Maybe the others are going to have to take tyres later on in the session. Race control could confirm that that's what's going on. That would be much appreciated. Matteo Ubertali all over the back of Ted-Jan Bloemen, the AM driver who is currently leading through nature pit strategy. But Matteo Ubertali wanting to put a pro back on top. Perhaps unsurprisingly. This Writing goes purple in sector 1, so his new tyre is clearly working well for him. He tries to close down that gap on the field that he's made himself. In an instant for Mark Lopez, which we'll look at quickly. This was him, I believe he was following behind Adam Jarvis. A little bit deep there, perhaps struggling with downforce behind his rival here. And that's what it was, just spun there. Matteo Ubertali on the attack into the hairpin. Has he got enough speed to go for a move down the inside? He definitely thinks so. Tries to outbrake for Dutchman, and that's really going to ruin the day for Ted-Jan Bloemen because Rens Verkerk follows him through, gives him a nudge. Ted-Jan Bloemen gives him a nudge back, actually. Matteo Ubertali giving the toe to Ted-Jan Bloemen, who's then going to keep that lead in GT3 AM, crucially. This battle still goes on. Going to be joined now by Liam de Kock and Senna Bockhoven, I believe. Liam, just seen your incident on the stream. Very unfortunate. I think you're not feeling very well today. I don't know if that's contributed to that at all.
That's exactly it. I've been fighting my own body every lap. My pace is getting worse and worse each lap, and I'm just, yeah, it's just got too much. So I crashed, and yeah, now I'm not gonna continue this.
Yeah,
it feels like I've got a pretty big fever as well right now.
Oh, best to take it easy then. We've all been in in those sorts of unfortunate situations. I commend you for even trying today, to be honest, based off what you said in the chat earlier.
Yeah, I wanted to at least do 80%, but yeah, it's not gonna be smart if I do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Best to look
Even
after yourself.
during qualifying, I felt my belly every lap like twisting around. So I already knew like, oh, this is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, instant there for Rens Verkerk as the GTP makes his way through. Not sure who that was that had the contact there. Just trying to find out for you. It was one of the Iridium Motorsports cars. It's not upset the order at the front, but it'll upset Rens a little bit. What's the traffic like out there today, Liam?
Yeah, just not too bad actually. It's a bit of searching around with the traffic. You don't have as much room as you have on Watkins Glen. You need to really plan it out because yeah, in the arena you can't really do anything. And the run up to the arena with the curve to the right and to the left, you have to like plan it out to not make it the dive bomb. But yeah, most of it is just waiting around and then passing them on the straights.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's doable. It's doable, but yeah, it's not great. Not as good as Watkins Glen.
Yeah, that tight section, like you said, at the end of the stadium section, really, really difficult. You kind of just stuck behind someone if you go into there behind them, unfortunately. Close fighting here. Mateus trying to make his way past Carlos Pons in that stadium section that we're talking about. Can't find his way through. They're both tucked up behind Mateo Lemroy, neither of them are able to make their way past him. This could be a good opportunity here for Matisse, and he's going to try and go down the inside into the kink, is he? Well, he's still got his nose alongside, and he does slots through, takes a lot of curb. So does Carlos Pons on the outside. Carlos Pons not happy about that, understandably. Liam, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're right on the limit to get the car through there on your own, are you not?
Sorry, what did you say?
So I think you're right on the limit to get the car through the kink at turn 1, aren't you, if you're going through on your own?
Oh yeah, of course. It's just sending it all just over the curb, and try to stay as close to the track limit as possible, not getting the X.
Yeah, so very audacious.
First corner,
go on.
first corner is a roller coaster in the GTP.
Yeah, so well, this is what happened with Rensburg-Kirk, or is this a different lap? No, this is the instant that we saw. So that's a second place car coming through. So Alvaro Gutierrez on his way through, and not really sure what anyone could have done from that, apart from Rensburg getting out a bit earlier. This is what we're talking about in turn 1. Mateus is going to try and go down the inside into the kink, and he is going to make it work. We saw it on live images, but not without a lot of compliance from Carlos Ponce on the outside, who gives him all of the room that he needed. Oriol Falk trying to make his way past Yannick Gerard's named Michael Kellenberger there, and he's going to no, and he's off. The once leader of GT3 Pro is in the barriers. He tries to make his way past an AM car with a GTP in the middle of it all, and he's got no rear wing. Sorry, he's going to have to tow to the pit lane, I believe. That'll be race over for Oriol Falk if he does tow. He's going to try and carry on. He's going to try and carry on with no rear wing. That's going to be a difficult car to get back to the pit lane. Let's take another look at it. Gets on the curb on the way in, and then tries to go deep through the corner. It doesn't work, and Mateus was right behind them as well, making it all the more complicated. Sure, that'll be under review by race control if it's not already. Alvaro into the pits for the second time this race as he tried to make his way, closing right up to the back of his teammate, but unable to get past that. Dave Van Eck and Sven Elmers continue their battle, even if it's about half a minute off the lead where they once were. Coming up now to lap Matteo Lemeray. Oriol Falk is now in the pit lane. I don't believe they made it all the way back, so we did have to tow to get there, unfortunately. Tejjan Bloemen in the AM car really doing a great job to stick to the leader here, and Rensburg-Kirk only a second behind as well. Also in the AM class, potentially on for 2 AM drivers on the podium today, if they don't have the big tyre drop off compared to the guys who switched the tyres on the first stint. Liam, I don't know if you were aware of what was happening in GTP, but it looks like some drivers changed their tyres and some didn't, if I'm not mistaken. Do you think you needed the fresh tyres around here?
Me myself did definitely need them, because you've probably saw it, but I did a pretty big lock-up in the first lap. Almost took my teammate out. And yeah, my tires were flat the entire. I was driving on squares the entire first stint. But yeah, in the first stint, I mean, me myself had some pretty big tire degradation with the high pressure.
Yeah.
So I think some of the guys will try to do an early pit stop and then extend it when the track's a little bit calmer. The guys extending it probably at either some luck with the first stint or just want to have a really quick final stint.
Yeah.
Yeah, some guys definitely had problems with tire degradation at the start.
Okay, yeah, we'll see. I think Mateus definitely changed tyres on that pit stop. Most of the other GTPs stayed on the same tyres, but a lot of GT3s swapped. And that's Tedjan Bloemen from the lead of GT3 AM coming into the bits for his final stop now on the 39-minute mark. Just shy of 2/3 distance, but he'll have plenty of fuel in the tank to make it to the end from there. Speaking of Mateus, makes his way through the GT3s for what will be the third time this race. Sven Elmers and Dave Van Eck still going at it further down the pack, and they're coming up to lap Matteo Ubertali as well. Sorry, they're not coming up to lap Matteo Lemroy. They're on pace with Matteo Lemroy. He was made his way up the order through an unfortunate series of events for other drivers. The leader, Albert Preem, makes his way through once again, though he's going to stay out for another lap as Sven Elmers dives to the pit lane. Bennett Gerards has got past Tedjan Bloemen. That's going to be on pit exit, is it? Yes, it is. So that'll switch back around when they come round to pit again. Sven Elmers is now in the pit lane. We'll follow Dave, who's still got a long way to go, actually. Sven's been up on the jacks, actually, so Sven trying to find that lap time. Or... Sorry, Sven's been in the pit lane this whole time. I'm getting Sven and Dave mixed up. Sven now out with the pit lane, drops to P8 in class, but everybody else yet to do their second stop, bar Tedjan Bloemen, who is the leader in class, who has done 2 stops. Currently running P2 in class. Rens Verkerk, who is running with, is yet to pit a second time.
Oh, my guy is undercutting. Jeffrey.
In early, is it? Yeah, 2 stops for Jeffrey Ross. Everybody else still on the 1 stop. And he's come out very close to Carlos Ponce here. Seen these two battling a lot earlier in the race. Needs to try and stay within that 1 second to keep the tow. How easy was overtaking, Liam, from a driver's perspective?
But decent. It's not the easiest here. But then again, with the massive straight, you do have quite the run into the hairpin. But yeah, it's really, yeah, it's not too bad. It's basically you have quite some straights where you have a decent run into the inside with the second corner and of course with the hairpin. But then again, the sector that we are in right now with Jeffrey it's a lot more difficult to overtake. You really need to send it or keep it planted somewhere and have a bit of luck on your side.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot go wrong for people in this final sector today when they have tried to make a move.
Yeah, this is not really a spot to do it, but yeah, with the massive straight and to the hairpin and into the second corner, you have quite a good overtaking spot.
Yeah. Sven Elmers on the inside of Carlos Villarejo gets loose. He just got past Dave Van Eck on the exit of the pit lane, and he's got front bumper damage. Instantly under investigation from race control, who were clearly following along. I'll go to the shoes room. Jeffrey Ross trying to get the move done on Carlos Ponce. Carlos Ponce wide on the grass. Jeffrey Ross goes to the outside, flashes his headlights at the GT3 to let them know he's coming. Needs to cover off his rival here, Carlos Ponce, and does so nicely. That mistake from Carlos going to prove costly, so it looks like you can overtake if your rival makes a little bit of a mistake. Now want to try and pull away and close up to the cars ahead if you can. Let's take a look at that incident that we just saw for Sven Elmers. Don't know if you want to give us your opinion on this one as well, Liam. So he's setting up the move to go down the inside. He's just pulled ahead of his rival in the race so far. He is alongside and looks like he gets pinched a little bit. Now really hard to tell.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to tell from that angle. From what I saw, the pink car turned it a little bit early. This might be a little better. Yeah, the pink car just turns in a little early. It doesn't see the green car, underestimates the space that he has on the inside, and Yeah, it's just an unfortunate incident.
Sven Elmer's in the pit lane once again after that incident, so I think that's race over for Sven, who did tow to the pit lane, in fact, actually. So yeah, will be race over with 15 minutes to go and a meatball, and I think he's already used his fast repair. Carlos Pons looking for it way past Jeffrey Ross, nice and close into the hairpin, but like you said, Liam, that's the best chance to overtake, and now you've got to kind of just sit behind for the rest of the lap and deal with the dirty air.
As you can see here.
It's backed off a lot going into this tight section, goes a little bit deep actually. Keeps it on the road though. Yeah, lost 6/10 through the twisty bit of the lap, so he'll be hoping to try and close it up a little bit through these final few corners if he wants to have a run, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Liam, you kind of want to be within that 1-2 second bubble to have below 1 second bubble to have a chance to make an overtake.
Yeah, you kind of want it to be around 8/10 for a chance of for a good chance of a move, except if you have traffic, because then it really depends on where the GT cars are.
Yeah.
If you have some GTs in front, I'd rather have a bigger gap and have the run in the exits.
And Dave Van Veen comes in for his pit stop then. Mercedes Vuyten has gone purple in sector 1. He's on a charge. I think he, as we said, the only driver who looked to change his tyres on that first stop in GTP. So using that tyre advantage now to gain, well, just over half a second on most of the cars in his class through sector 1. So really impressive pace. But he's going to need a lot more of that to make up the time that he lost in that pit stop strategy if he wants to get back on the podium. Dave Van Eyck still stuck behind Carlos Villarrejo. Both of these drivers caught up in that incident that is still under investigation from race control. We'll take another look at that Jeffrey Ross pass on Carlos Ponson's kind of sorting a difference. That was Carlos going deep through the third corner and on the grass, and that just cost him a lot of top speed. He did try and get behind the damaged car of Sven Elmers to get a little bit of a tow, but tell you what, Jeffrey Ross had that done well before the braking zone. Dave Van Eyck still stuck behind Jose Carlos Villarreal. We've seen what happened to his rival when he tried to get past. He'll know to play it a little bit more cautiously, but he dives to the pit lane. Quite a late call, clearly, from the Audi driver. Clears Dave Van Eyck to try and do some hot laps to stay in front. In fact, Dave Van Eyck's already done 2 stops, so that's just a removal of a barrier for him, and he can push forwards with his race pace. Carlos Pons once again getting close into the hairpin, but needs to be about as close as he is on the entry to the hairpin as he is on the entry to the straight. Would give him the best chance to make that move. As Liam said, about 8/10 of a second is where you need to be. Eloy Caballero pits from P2 in the race. Your leader, Albert Preem, still carrying on. One of the later pitters on the previous stint, so not surprising to see him staying out. Albert Preem's not done any running behind GTPs as well in this race, so that'll have protected his tyres a little bit more than some of the others. But right now he's got an 18-second buffer to Avale, and I think it was a similar-ish gap. It wasn't that much more to Eloy Caballero, so he can probably afford to take the tyres in the pit stop if he really wants to. Eloy with only a 29-second time in the pit lane though, so he definitely didn't take tyres on that stop, but Mateus is proving having those tyres can be pretty good. Alvaro Gutierrez now on the back of his teammate, Eloy Caballero, but like we said, needs to be as close as this going into the hairpin if he wants any real chance of overtaking.
To be fair, with Albert Preem staying out so long, I don't think he will be swapping his tires in the final pit stop. To make it work, you really need to fuel up the car like entirely, because the tire swap takes 22 seconds, and fueling a full car is 22.5 seconds.
Yeah, so a lot of time to sacrifice if you're not going to fill the tank. With 10 minutes left to
Yeah.
go, it definitely won't be a full tank.
Yeah, I don't think Albert will be swapping his tires. I think it'll be just a splash and dash and then go again.
So Albert Preem comes out in P2. Yeah, only 29 seconds in the pit lane for him as well, so a nice short stop. No tyres for Albert that time around. Only stationary for 13 seconds. Comes out in P2, but that's because Juanto Avale is yet to pit for a second time. He's got about a 3.5 second lead, so we'll want to be pushing on to make sure the guys behind don't get too much closer. But he locks up going into a hairpin actually and runs deep. Does have the fastest lap of the race, but the guys behind are not slow by any means. Mateus, the driver who did do that tyre swap, is still 13 seconds off his guys when he was racing them before that. So right now, really not looking like that was the correct call, at least in the GTP category. Adam Jarvis as well, one of the drivers that didn't pit. I think Mark Lopez maybe did take new tyres, unless I'm mistaken, on the first stop. No, he didn't actually. Matteo Ubertali will be looking to retake the lead once Adam Jarvis and Mark Lopez have made their pit stop. So about 19 seconds behind Adam Jarvis, so it will be fairly close on the pit exit if Adam Jarvis takes a nice short stop. That's a 20-second time penalty to the 88. That's Jose Carlos Villarejo. That's for that incident in turn 2 that we saw. We said it looked like he didn't see Sven Elmers on his inside. So quite a long penalty, 20 seconds. Carlos Villarejo, who's currently running in, 6th in class.
Yeah, pretty big penalty. My God. Oh.
Race control clearly felt like the car on the inside was very much alongside, and it did look like that from the camera angles.
Yeah, it did look like that. Those kind of incidents are pretty setup dependent on if you have triple screen or VR or single monitor or a radar, because yeah, you just need to look beside you in order to see that.
Yeah, single monitor people definitely relying a lot on the you said on radars and blind spot lights and spotters, and if you're not paying full attention to all of that, which can be quite a lot to pay attention to in a race situation, you can easily miss someone being alongside you, especially if you're not expecting them to be there.
Yeah, I have bought a VR this weekend. I tried it out. Probably didn't help to my health as well, but okay. So I still tried it. And yeah, it does help for me with the looking around.
Yeah,
I understand why Verdonk does it.
Yeah, definitely makes a big difference, BR, when you're trying to see what's going on around you. Same as triple screens, a big disadvantage of running the single screen is that poor field of view. Tejan Bloman looking for a way past Adam Jarvis here. So the AM driver trying to get past the Pro Jarvis is the AM leader, trying to make his way past the Pro second place car. So all GT3s and all GTPs that are still running have now made their second stop. Carlos Villarejo is actually parked for car now after receiving that 20-second time penalty. So Tejan Bloman here fighting full out for an overall podium position. He's currently running P3 in the overall classification in the GT3 field. Rens Verkerk running P4 overall in the GT3 field, trying to make his way onto the podium. But Tejan Bloman is trying to do one better, P2, and only 3 seconds up the road is Matteo Ubertali. So if he can have some mega pace and a bit of luck, he may even be able to win overall in AM, which we have had a couple of times in series history, but it is a rare occurrence. The podium is a little bit less rare, but it does happen as we get another little drop in connection. Apologies for that, not sure what's going on today. The attack has waned a little bit for Tejan Bloman, who looked really close to getting past Adam Jarvis a couple of laps ago. but unable to make it work, seemingly. Incident for Mark Lopez, which I don't think we've seen. Running 4th in Pro. And just went a little bit deep, nothing much to note there. This is an incident for Yannick Gerards, running 3rd, just deep on the curve, I believe, unless something's going to go wrong into turn 2. And he's going to have a GTP on his inside, so there's every possibility something's going to go wrong. Just loops it around on the exit. Is it pretty low grip out on there on track today, Liam?
Yeah, the track isn't really that high gripped up today. The rain probably didn't help from the practice session. Because yeah, the track does have some problems with rubbering up. I myself also had quite some problems with understeer in some corners, more than usual. And yeah, definitely in the last corner and in the 3rd corner, I think you have quite some understeer with most cars.
Yeah, we've seen some quite lazy spins through the final couple of corners as well, where it looked like people just kind of ran out of grip.
Yeah, by the looks of it, the track is, even though there is quite some rubber on the track, but the track is still pretty green from the rain.
Yeah. Albert Preem sets the fastest sector 1 as he looks to stretch that gap. He's lost a little bit of time to Eloy Cabinera in the last few minutes. But he's trying to stretch that gap back out. He is trying to make his way through traffic, and he is now through almost all of it. This is the leaders in GT3. Yannick Gerard running 3rd in Pro, looking to make his way past Dave Van Eck in the AM class, but next Pro car is 40 seconds up the road, so he needs to not be too silly here. He's not gonna make up any positions really overall, so just I'd take the 3rd place if I was you. Eloy Cabinero takes another 10 out of Albert Preem, but he'll need a little bit more than that if he wants to get up on the podium. I believe Alvaro Gutierrez is only 1 incident point away from a drive-through penalty, so he needs to be particularly careful. So is Carlos Ponce, and perhaps a couple of other drivers as well. They haven't already had one, that is. We'll not worry too much about that for now. There's no one really in it, apart from Alvaro and Juanto, that are at risk of that. Mateus, yeah, it's not really come together for him after trying that tyre swap strategy. Probably hoping for a bit more of a fall off from some of the others, who uses another joker of an off track there. A lot of people getting quite close to that drive-through penalty limit now. Yannick's still trying to make his way through some of these guys. It's not coming his way just yet. That lead gap now down to just 2 seconds, with Eloy taking a big chunk out of Albert Preem through the middle sector. So Preem starting to feel the pressure now. Alvaro Gutierrez also closing up on his teammate. So yeah, Preem lost about 3/10 that last lap. I think we'll have about 2 more laps to go now. Should get the white flag next time round, so Preem is still safe, provided nothing goes wrong. And in fact extends that lead by around a 10th in sector 1. Teo Lemery made a move past Yannick Gerards, it looks like, for P13. As looks like there's some smoke off in the distance, and that was when Yannick went around a couple of laps ago. Jose Carlos Villarrejo goes deep and off the track, and perhaps that's when Albert Preem lost a little bit more time a couple of laps ago. Brentford Kirk nice and close now actually to Ted Jan Bloemen. Gap is now under a second, with depending on where the leaders are, either 1 or 2 laps to go for these guys. I believe the leader is now about to come across the line. 47 seconds left, I believe. Will be showing the white flag. Yes, they are. So last lap for Albert Preem. He leads by 1.9 seconds. That lead is safe provided nothing else goes wrong this lap. Uses all of the curve through turn 2, but can't blame him. Just getting the car to the finish now. Rens Verkerk, this will be the last lap for GT3 now, as they all take the white flag. So the attack from Ted-Jan Bloemen on Adam Jarvis has really died off. Jarvis will be really happy to come home and take that P2. But Rens Verkerk wants that overall podium as well as the win in class. It's not going to give up.
He does have a chance, but look at it.
Yeah, within 6 temps here, going onto the straight. You're right, he'll have a very good chance. And gaining on the exit. A long run down into a hairpin. He might struggle. Doesn't look like he's quite got enough speed to make a move into the hairpin. Be looking to throw his rival offline. Jeffrey Ross coming up behind him, but 15 seconds for the next car in front of him, so he won't want to get involved and put too much at risk. If he can disturb Bloemen a little bit here through the King, that'll give Verkerk a good chance into the next braking zone. That's a 7 car, just got a black flag. It's Yannick Gerard's for drive-through penalty. I think that'll be for incident points, unless I'm mistaken.
Almost made contact there.
Really pushing it to the limit there, but Rens Verkerk knew that was his last real chance to get past, unless it's a mistake going for Ted-Jan Bloemen in the hairpin. We did see a couple in qualifying from him. Keeps it on track very nicely. Albert Preem has won in GTP Pro while we are following this race. Matteo Batali will be about to take the checkered flag in GT3 Pro, and he does to win. And Yannick Gerards is going to hold on in the end. Like I said, they got very, very close on that last lap, but manages to hold on. Matthias Weissman will be disappointed with P6 on his return to the series, but he'll probably take that result, given that he did a much longer pit stop than anyone else out there, and it's just getting back into the groove of these hour-long races. So Yannick Gerard's still running, I believe, in P3, but he's got that black flag, but he's got 5 lap gap to the car behind, so he won't care that much, I imagine. And he is going to pit to try and serve it, which won't eliminate the penalty, but with it being the last lap, because you can't fully serve the drive-through, but it does reduce the amount of penalty that you take. Either way, it won't affect his race finishing position. Right, I believe we can pull Albert Preem in for interview. Albert, congratulations, another win. I bet that feels good after last week.
Yeah, I think that's a great feeling. Yeah, I didn't expect it here because all the way this week with training, I wasn't fast, but I took pole by surprise, and then the race, was managing everything and not to make too much risks with overtaking the GT3s.
Yeah, it did look like you were a little bit more cautious in traffic than perhaps you were last week after that turn 1 incident you had, but congratulations. I'm sure that feels good, and it's really good for the title fight as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a great victory, which I didn't expect, because Matti is also back, and it's an already twice victory of this championship. So yeah, I'm very pleased. Thank you.
All right, well, congratulations. Yeah, like you say, I think Andy even joked in the briefing that everybody else had their time now that Matisse was back. But really good pace out there. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'll see you next week, guys. Thank you.
Okay, and Ted-Jan Bloemen, your winner in GT3 AM. Ted, I bet that felt pretty great to be on the overall podium and at various points throughout the race fighting for the overall win as well.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, man, it's such a fun concept, the way these races are organized. It's you can really feel what the tires are doing all the time, and then the 2 pit stops makes it really fun that you have to choose whether you change your front or your rear tires, and it's such a fun concept.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the win. It got pretty close with Renz on the last lap. Liam pointed that out in commentary. Were you worried about losing the lead going into the hairpin in particular?
No, I think he was just a little bit too far back, but Rens had some amazing pace there. So near the end of the race, I was worried that he would catch me. Yes.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win, and I'm sure that'll boost your position in championship standings as well. So, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Just trying to get Adam Jarvis down here as well, who finished P2 in Pro. And it's not dragging him down for some reason. There we go. Adam, congratulations. P2 in GT3 Pro. Were you expecting that? Because I think you had to do something a little bit different on the pit strategy, did you? It looked like you ran a little bit longer than some people.
Yeah, wasn't expecting P2 at all. Did not have the pace for it. I qualified P9 last of the pros, so many AMs in front of me, and just tried to go as long as possible and keep with the pack and field save like a madman. And change tyres as well, which seemed to help.
Okay, that's good to hear. We saw, I think one GTP might have changed tyres and they struggled a little bit to make up the time, and it was all over the place when we were watching GT3. Some people were, some people weren't, so congratulations on that.
Thanks, yeah. I need to watch the replay back to see if anyone had incidents in front. I think my teammate Oriel had to pit a couple of times because of damage, but I don't know if that P2 was actually deserved or I just got lucky.
I think Oriel did have an incident at some point, but I think Mattia was kind of in the same battle as him. So it was still a pretty good finish on pace, to be honest, and especially when there were so many AM drivers up ahead and you moved ahead of all of them as well. Yeah,
it was a good race. Good fun overall.
All right, well, congratulations on the podium. I'll run everyone through the full results quickly. So your GTP winner, as we just discussed, with Albert Preem. So congratulations to Albert on another win in the series. Eloy Caballero came home to finish P2 by just 1.4 seconds in the end. The gap coming down in the final laps, but Albert able to hold on. Another Iridium driver, Alvaro Gutierrez, finished P3, followed by another teammate, Juan Valle, in P4. Jeffrey Ross finishing P5. Mateus Biden P6. Carlos Pons P7. Liam de Kock finished P8 and then joined us in the commentary booth for the second half of the race. So big thanks to Liam for that. Emre Kamaldar finished P9 after having a couple of incidents early on in the race. The GT3 Pro winner was Matteo Batali. Adam Jarvis finished P2 with that slightly different strategy. Yannick Gerards in P3. Mark Lopez P4. Oriol Falk in P5, not finishing the full race distance to final two drivers in GT3 Pro. GT3 AM, Ted-Jan Bloemen was your winner by just 6.5 tenths in the end. Rens Verkerk P2. For Era Next Gen Motorsports. Michael Kernberger for No Limit Motorsports in P3. Matteo Lemery in P4. He'll be happy with that result after a really difficult qualifying. Dave Van Eck P5. Jose Carlos Villarrejo was P6 and has been slapped with a 20-second time penalty, but it'll be added to his time. Dave Van Veen finished P7. Paolo Antonori was P8. Sven Elmers was P9. Senna Bokhoven was 26 laps down in P10. And I believe that is it for the standings that we are going to see. Yes, it is. Okay. All right. Well, big thanks to Liam for joining us in the commentary booth after that incident, and great insights on the driver's side of what was going on as well.
Yeah, of course, man. No problem.
Much appreciated. And thanks to everybody that joined us. We are back next week for the third of the 3 races in the triple header, and that is at Fuji Speedway, which I believe is a timeline weather race with rain throughout the race, so make sure you tune in for that one. Then we're going to break week for the Fuji 8 hours, and then we're going to finish the season with a double header at Indy Road and Daytona Speedway with that 90-minute finale race, so don't forget to join us for that one as well. All right, thanks to everybody that joined us, and we'll see you next time.